Welcome, everyone, to episode 11 of the Growth and Gratitude podcast. I am so excited to welcome our guest today, Jacqueline Perez, who goes by Jack Perez. Is that correct?
That is correct, Bridget.
And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be hosted. I love talking to people on podcasts. I tell everyone who pauses for a second that I'm a podcast guest whore. I just love being on them. So thank you.
I love that. I love that. And it is so true. And that made this interview so easy because, as I just told you, I spent all morning listening to you on other podcasts. And I just got so excited that we were going to be having this conversation. So I will introduce Jack to you all in just a moment and all of her impressive accolades. But before we do that, as you know, on Growth and Gratitude, we always start with talking about what we're grateful for. And Jack just shared with me something that gave me chills, which is she showed me, I hope you're watching the video, her gratitude tattoo on her wrist. And just tell us for a second, if you don't mind, you just said to me, how it makes you feel every day to look at that. Can you share that with the audience?
Yes, I honestly believe, Bridget, and I think I just said this to you before we hit go, is that if everyone had this tattooed on their wrist, the world would be a better place, a happier place, a kinder place. Yes, I have the word gratitude literally inked on my right wrist, on my internal right wrist. For those of you who are listening but not viewing, that means at any time I can look at it. And it's only for me for the most part, because the world doesn't really look at the inside of your wrist. And I did it for myself. And it reminds me every single day to be filled with gratitude, because honestly, I can't imagine a better way to be walking around on the earth. So.
Absolutely. I am so inspired by that, Jack. And you and I are so in sync because that's the whole point of why I talk about gratitude on every podcast. In the first episode, I talked about all the research. I'm sure you know, this is not some woo-woo kind of idea. There is ample scientific research that people who spend time every day or on a regular basis focusing on what they're grateful for are happier, less depressed, healthier. I mean, the benefits are endless. So let's talk about what you're grateful for. And as you do, I want to challenge our audience, as I always do, to think about at least 3 things that they're grateful for. Just pause this podcast and say them out loud so that they really sink in for you. But Jack, what are you grateful for today? 3 things.
That's a tough question, Bridget, because I am one of those individuals that my gratitude list is really long. But I have to say, and this is going to show my age, the first thing I'm grateful for is my health.
Yes.
The older we get, the more we realize that old adage that without a health, you have nothing, that's as real as it gets, people. If we do not take care of our machine, nothing else matters. We can't do anything else. So that's the first thing I'm really grateful for. I'd say the other 2 things, and this is just right now, you're catching me in this moment. I think that the other things that I'm really grateful for are, one of them is that I have a really wonderful working relationship with my son. He is not only someone that I love because he happens to be my progeny, he's also someone that I admire and respect and get. And so that you don't always get gifted. My understanding is that not every child and parent relationship turns out that way. So I'm very grateful for that. And then my third thing that I'm grateful for is that I am headed off to do more traveling, and I am a huge travel person. I have a long laundry list of places that I want to experience and see, and people that I want to meet. And next week I head out for 5 weeks to Vietnam, the Philippines, and Qatar, I believe is how you pronounce that country. It's the way it's spelled and the way it's pronounced or confuse me, but that's
Me too. That is amazing, Jack. I am so inspired and moved by everything you just shared. 1 and 2, I share with you wholeheartedly. I'm so grateful for my health. And 2, I'm so grateful to have a beautiful relationship with both of my adult daughters. The travel, I'm a little jealous. So you've you've got to put a fire under me. I need to get out there more and get back to doing more traveling. I did a lot more before COVID kind of changed everything for all of us, but now it's time to get back out there. So thank you for sharing that, and have a wonderful time on all of your travels. That's incredibly exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for sharing what you're grateful for. Thank you for sharing your gratitude tattoo. And I'm so just happy that we're aligned in spreading that message in the world, that no matter what is going on, we can stop and think about what we are grateful for. And so you and I, let's just start off by being honest, right? We're in our 50s. I'm 54.
I'm
And
58, so
you're 58. Oh
I'm
my
58.
goodness. And I don't mean to be shocked. The only reason I expressed shock is because I thought you were my age. I don't know why, listening to the podcast episodes, and you get a sense of, so you look incredible. You're gorgeous. You are obviously vibrant and healthy and doing incredible work out in the world to support, especially people of our age range, but people much younger and much older as well, quite a range. And so let me introduce you, and then we'll get into our talk, which is, I wanted to title this episode and this talk, Aging Joyfully, which some people would consider maybe an oxymoron. How can you put those two words together? Well, we think it's possible. Jack and I think it's not only possible, it's the way to go, is to do everything we can to age joyfully. And we're going to talk about that. But let me introduce Jack to you. I found her through her amazing enterprise, Kuel Life, which she founded in 2017. And I thought it was mainly for women around my age. But as you just shared, 50% or so of your audience who uses the site and all of the amazing resources that you have is 45, 45 and younger, was it?
Yes, under 45. So
Yeah.
between like 30 and 45, half of our readers are in this age demographic. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Bridget, this blew my doors off, because
Yeah.
when I built the site, when I built the business and the brand, I had a very specific demographic in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I come from an MBA background. I have an MBA from the University of Chicago. So I had a business plan. I had my,
Mm-hmm.
my persona all figured out, and the person I was going to be attracting and all that stuff. It was not a woman under 45. And so
Yeah.
fast forward, with the help of analytics, I now know that half of our audience are women that fall not in what I thought was going to be my sweet spot entirely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing, Bridget, that unlike us, that, I mean, well, you know what? Let me not say us, unlike myself, that I felt like I had no information about
Mm-hmm.
what was about to happen to me. I went into this aging thing kind of blind,
Mm-hmm.
blind. I had no
Mm-hmm.
idea. And
Mm-hmm.
what I feel is happening, and why I think that half of our audience is below 45, is that I think women are like, what the heck? What is happening? What is going to happen? Why can't I be more prepared? And now that there's information out there
Mm-hmm.
to be consumed, women are doing it. Women are going to consume the information.
Absolutely. Yes. And I find all that fascinating. And it makes sense to me because when I was 45, now I look at that as young. I thought I was old. And I thought, I need information about how to manage this aging thing. So your company has exploded and grown, and you're serving. So as you said, your intention was to serve women in midlife, which I look at as more our age, more the 50s, but obviously women in their 30s, 40s, and men are wanting to learn about all the changes that come with aging. And so you have curated content, you have wonderful products and you support and promote women-owned businesses and products with high standards, I know. And so you're creating this kind of hub for us who desperately need this information and support around all of the things that start happening and changing that I found nobody else is really talking about. Not a lot of people are talking about these topics with the kind of depth and honesty that you and all of your colleagues who you've now brought together as your experts. You have so many subject matter experts now through your business that people can access their writing and, as I said, their products and their recommendations. Is it 50 or so women that you've brought together that people can learn from and work
So
with through your business?
by the end of February or March, I
Mhm.
believe I will have 60
Wow.
women global thought leaders from as far away as New Zealand, Spain, the UK, Canada, and the 50 states of the United States as well. And a bunch of them are in here as well in the US. But yeah, it's incredible how women from all over the world who happen to be well schooled and knowledgeable and expert in these arenas, these lanes. I call them like lanes. These lanes
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
important, that are the opportunities and challenges that present themselves to
Mhm.
women in this stage of life. And we before we got on, we talked a little bit about our adult children. Well, see, that's the thing. At this stage of life, you either already are parenting adult children, or your children are about to leave the nest,
Mhm.
and you might have an ailing, sickly parent that you're taking care
Mhm.
of all at the same time.
Mhm.
The most divorces, Bridget, are initiated by women after 50. Okay,
Mm.
I'm dealing with a whole slew of women who are no longer in a marriage, no longer in a primary relationship. So now they might be interested in dating. Okay.
Mhm.
How do you start dating after a 25, 30-year marriage? How do you date with a dry vagina?
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at that. That's what I love about you, Jack. Yes. How do you date with a dry vagina? These
How do
are
you
the
do that?
questions we need answers to.
When I was 19, I didn't have to worry about that.
I'm sorry to be laughing, but I love that. Yes, yes. Okay. So we're still in your introduction, which I could see we could take an hour with. We are actually getting into the topic because, as
Yeah,
I said
it's fun.
before, I don't want to shortchange. I do want to say a couple more things in introducing Jack to all of you who are listening, but we are diving right into the topic. And the two big, broad themes I wanted to make sure we address are: what are the real challenges of getting older, of aging? And what are our tips for doing it joyfully, gracefully, happily, in the most peaceful, grateful way that we possibly can? But a couple more things about Jack that I find incredible. In addition to all this exotic travel and her business, which is thriving, and how many people she's reaching, in her former life as a, let's see, she spent 20 years at Summit Strategy Partners, a San Francisco based marketing and public relations firm where she was a founding partner. So she's got the entrepreneurial experience, the corporate experience, the master's, the MBA, impressive MBA. And here she is now really making the world a much better place for women our age, who are in whatever you want to call it, our second act, our third act, and see many, many decades remaining. We're in no way going out saying, oh, just because I'm this age, I'm not going to keep working and doing what I can in the world and traveling. But in addition to that, she's an avid jump roper, a Peloton fanatic, which I also am as well. I love my Peloton, and a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Wow. How is that possible? And you just said you're 58, did you say?
I'm 58.
And
I
you're
didn't
still doing all of that. Yes?
Well, no, I gave up martial arts about right around the time I was 50.
Mm.
But I didn't start martial arts until I was 40. So,
Wow.
ladies, it is not too late. Like, it's just not too late. So I started training when I was 40, and it took me about 10 or 11 years to get to a third degree black belt with serious training, consistent 15, 20 hours a week training. It wasn't a small feat, but I got to the third degree level, and my hips were really bothering me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Much harder for me to perform the way that I expected myself
mm-hmm,
to perform.
mm-hmm.
And there's a characteristic, I guess, that I have, which is that if I can't do something the way I want to do it, then I'm more than likely just not going to do it at all.
There you go. Yeah, I have that characteristic as well. So, and I choose to embrace it. I want to use this, what you're sharing about Taekwondo, to really dive into the challenges of aging, because we are going to talk realistically. As you mentioned, we already threw out dry vagina. There is so much around menopause. I do want this conversation to be informative for men as well as women. So we're going to talk about all of it. But physical changes are a big part of it, and they're a reality. And I know that Jack and I agree that the goal is not to prevent aging, stop aging, stay young. It's to work with your body as it ages and respect it and honor it, but still push it to a point where you're not creating injury or harm. And so your example of Taekwondo is similar for me with running. So I used to be an avid runner. I ran one marathon, the Los Angeles Marathon, did lots of half marathons, and used to be really a long distance runner. I don't run at all anymore, which some people might think, oh, that's so heartbreaking. People whose whole life is running and are obsessed with it. I don't have any sadness about it. I just listen to my body say, after a meniscus tear and surgery and after a slip disc in my back, doing weights, doing my Peloton, hiking, I get tons of exercise and tons. I'm the fittest I've been in my life, which my doctor just doesn't understand. She's like, your BMI is perfect. You're everything. You're so fit. You're so healthy, because I've made the choice, right, to honor my body and what it needs and what it wants to do and doesn't want to do anymore. And you did the same thing with Taekwondo. And I think that gets to both of our big topics of what are the challenges and how do we work with those challenges gracefully and gratefully, making new choices. What do you think?
Well, so it's interesting, Bridget, because I don't know if you did this intentionally or you just intuitively listened to what was happening inside your body. But studies show that women our age, so postmenopausal women, that long distance, slow burn cardio, hour after hour on the treadmill or mile after mile on the pavement, that actually isn't good for us because it wreaks havoc with our hormones. So interestingly enough, whether you did it consciously or your body was just telling you, okay, you need to move on to more anaerobic, heavier lifting, shorter bouts of exercise. Yes. So women out there, please pay attention to that about your bodies. Talk to your doctors about that. Get the research. There's some of it on Kuel Life that talks about it, but there's a lot of it out there that we need to change the way we stay physically fit as we get older. Almost everything has to change if you think about it. We have to change the way we wear our makeup. I know that sounds ridiculous, but okay, when you were what, 15, 16, and you were trying to sneak into a bar, what did you do? You put on the makeup and lots of it, heavy eyeliner, heavy mascara, tons of eyeshadow, because you wanted to look older. Well, guess what? If you put that crap on your face the same way now, you're going to look older. So many things have to change, right? I mean, the way we treat our bodies, the way that we dress ourselves, the way that we take care of our skin. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different. That's all. Here's actually, I think, the key. And this is why I think it's important, Bridget, that we're having this conversation and that you're out there having multiple conversations every month with lots of women about the aging process, because we are the biggest problem with aging is that it gets harder and harder to stay connected. We lose our abilities to make friends as we get older, because if your kids are gone and you're no longer in these social scenes where you're socializing with the parents of the kids, maybe you've left corporate America and so you're not in a social situation at work anymore, you're spending more and more time on your own, getting further and further into the isolation. Loneliness and isolation is a far graver death sentence than your BMI or smoking a pack of cigarettes. And so it's really important as we age, we can do it. I mean, joyfully, we can do it coolly, we can do it in bright colors, we can do it however we want. We just have to do it differently. And we, by definition, this group of women, the boomers, the Gen Xers, and even the elder millennials, we're the ones that are defining this stage of life for the first time. Because if you look historically back in the early 1900s, an average lifespan for a white woman was like 51. And of a woman of color, it was less than that. So guess what, girls? Not a lot of us made it through menopause. So that piece of life, that extra 20, 30, 40 years that we have been gifted, is undefined. We get to define it. And that's what we're doing today, tomorrow. We get to do it. What an amazing opportunity. How can you not be excited about that?
Wow, you just dropped a lot of really important information, a lot of facts and statistics, but also really meaningful advice and suggestions I want to look at a little more. I recently heard that statistic about loneliness, that loneliness is literally killing more of us than some of the health challenges that we think of as being the most fatal and the most harmful. And I heard a statistic, it was on the 10% Happier podcast. So I'll give credit with Dan Harris. He said that a recent study, and he's a fact checker, so I trust it. A recent study said that 1 in 10 women in the US said they don't have a single friend. And my heart just broke. I thought that is unbelievable. And he tied that to the statistics that are coming out about how loneliness is the biggest killer, widely unknown killer that really is wreaking havoc on us as we get older. And so you talked about relationships changing. I'm an empty nester. I'm blessed like you with your son to have a beautiful relationship with both of my adult daughters, but they don't live nearby. One lives out of state and one lives on the other opposite end of the state, a 6-hour drive away. So I could have really been in a position to contend with some significant loneliness. And I made a lot of effort to really build my friendships. And I feel like my friendships now are as close and intense in some ways as they were in my 20s. And when I was in the child rearing years and the trying to keep my marriage together years, which I know not everybody, I know divorce is huge at our stage. And I think it's great for folks to realize it's not working. My husband and I are together. We'll be celebrating 30 years. We've worked our asses off at it, though. Anybody who says, oh, you guys are so cute and it must have been easy, hell no. So I get it. And lots of my friends are not doing that and are going on their own, and I'm cheering them on. So yes.
You earned every applaud and every accolade for keeping that relationship going, because I know that's a lot of work. I did get divorced. I'm in partnership with someone and we live together and we're not married, but we continually and diligently work on the relationship.
Yes.
Every month we actually go to a therapist.
Good.
It's nothing quote unquote wrong. We're not
Right.
solving any particular issue. It's
Right.
just that it is our kind of health checkup for the relationship.
Yeah.
And it gives us that 1 hour every month where we talk about what's going well, what's not going well, how we could do things differently. And I think the relationship merits that extra attention if you're going to keep it, because you're right. In order to keep that marriage, I'm sure you had to work ridiculously hard, forgive a lot of things, forget some stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
And move
Well,
on,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. And when people ask us, I like to say that we restarted our marriage at multiple points. It was like a new marriage. It was like, oh, wow, all that baggage just wasn't working. And we spent many hours in therapy. Let's start over, not technically getting divorced and remarried, but in our own kind of energy with each other, in our commitment to the relationship. So thank you. I will take that. I appreciate those kind words, Jack. And I just do also always want to say that equally, I applaud and cheer on and can't imagine the challenges of making the decision to end a marriage. And it takes so much strength and courage, because a lot of folks will stay. And I understand this too, because it's just easier, and the financial challenges or the emotional or the home and factors that must be taken into account of splitting things up. It just seems easier to stay, even if you're not really in a thriving relationship. So I'm very compassionate and understanding of any choice that anyone makes at that stage. But I do want us to talk. I want to hear from you more about relationships at this stage of life. What are you finding? Because you have so much knowledge and research and so many experts you're working with about friendships, about relationships with our kids. I'm throwing it all at you at once. Relationships with spouses, ex-spouses, aging parents, any or all of those that you want to speak to. What can you teach us about how to really keep that area of our lives rich and thriving and healthy?
So I'm with you though, Bridget. I also have made a lot of amazing connections and friends. And we're not talking like on the surface platitude type
Mhm.
of relationships. We're talking deep and real.
Yeah.
Now, part of it's also been this journey that I've been on Kuel Life, because in order to find these women to address these opportunities and challenges that present themselves for this season of life for all of us, in my search and in my communications and in my talking to these women, well, guess what? If a woman says yes to me and yes to Kuel Life, more than likely it's because they're like-minded, that we hit it off, that our energies, because it's me, I'm Kuel Life. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna write for Kuel Life, if you're gonna be a thought leader, guess who you're stuck with? Guess who you're talking
Mhm.
to all the time? Guess it's me. So if you don't like me, if your energy doesn't jive with mine, then you're not gonna want to be part of Kuel Life.
Mhm.
So if you take that and run with it, those 60 women that I've been able to find, chat with, encourage, enroll, they're all my friends now.
Yeah.
How did
Mhm.
I do that? How at this stage of the game did I end up with all these extra amazing women in my life that we talk real stuff? And
Yeah.
when I had a skydiving accident a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
and I ended up with 3 broken vertebrae in my back. And so
Mm.
I ended up basically lying down for 2 or 3 months. It was not fun. Those women text, phone calls, Zoom,
Mhm.
okay, basically strangers, if people that had just recently met, people that were collaborating with, but no, these relationships are real and deep.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
feel so lucky. So here's the deal. If I can do it, you can do it. If I can establish relationships at 58, you can do it. And you can say, okay, well, how am I going to do it? Because I don't work outside the house anymore. My kids are gone. Whatever. I may not have any hobbies right now, or I do not underestimate the value and the power of social media in opening up those doors.
Mm.
Because a lot of the relationships that I now count on that are not social media based relationships at all, guess how they started?
Mhm.
Guess how I found them? I didn't find
Mhm.
that person in New Zealand. I didn't stumble
Mhm.
across her at the grocery store, people.
Mhm.
That is
Mhm.
not how I found her. I
Yeah.
found her on Clubhouse, or that chat app. Or I
Mm.
found her on Facebook, or I found her on
Mhm.
Instagram.
Mhm.
Then I took it offline, and then over time, we share real information with each other, and
Mm.
that's the thing. If you want real connection, you have to be vulnerable,
Mhm.
transparent, approachable. You have
Mhm.
to be real. If
Yes.
people feel like they can't relate to you, if there's nothing human and frail and reachable, it's really hard to make real connections.
That is so true. I cannot tell you how much I can relate to what you're saying and how much it's resonating with me because I feel like at our age, we're just in such a different place with our confidence. It's like, I know who I am now, and I'll tell you who I am. I have nothing to hide anymore. When I was younger, it's like, oh, you have to present yourself in this way and be professional. Like when we got on, I was like, say whatever you want. Say fuck, say dry vagina. It's like, I think that comes with age for a lot of us as women. I feel bad. My heart breaks for the women who I can see are not there and they're still kind of trying to play the game and be the persona or the role. And it's like, no, let it all go. We don't have to give a fuck anymore. We're in our mid or late 50s. Like we have plenty of time left, but there's no time to waste on worrying about what other people think or meeting other people's expectations. We just don't seem to have that concern anymore, most of us. And that is a great factor in building these kind of authentic relationships that you're talking about.
Yeah. Not wasting your time. Don't waste your time. Just stop
Right.
it.
Yeah,
Stop
exactly. Just
wasting
be
your time.
yourself. Just be yourself. And the one thing I will say to that I do a lot of communication training and coaching and helping people to articulate what they're feeling or what's going on or at work or otherwise. And I do think it's important to strive to be a person who balances being open about your challenges and having friends to vent to, but also being someone who sees it has some degree of optimism and sees the opportunity in challenges and can help your friend kind of look at the bright side when they're ready to, not be that Pollyanna, like, oh, stop. It's like this interesting balance of like, be real, talk about what's hard. But also, I think we have to offer people some hope and some encouragement and some optimism. And that's what builds these really rich relationships where it's all welcome and it's all kind of balanced. Do you find that?
Yeah. And I don't think what you just said is mutually exclusive. I think you can be transparent and vulnerable and
Yes.
frail and still be grateful and optimistic
Yes.
and hopeful. I just think
Exactly.
that I think, oh, we're so complex and it's so beautiful, and hiding any one of those pieces of ourselves from somebody else just cheats you and that other person. And here's
Yeah.
like, talk about like stop wasting time. The more you hide from someone, the longer it's going to take for you to realize whether that's a relationship that is a good relationship for you to pursue, maintain,
Right.
want, because you're not evaluating it in an honest way. You're evaluating
Exactly.
against whatever it is you're showing up as. But if that's not
Hmm.
who you are, then you're not getting to the meat of the relationship with that individual. And so you're going to miss out, and you're going to be wasting your time and their time too, by the way, right?
Yeah,
Don't waste,
exactly.
don't waste their time either.
Exactly. Exactly. Because to your point earlier, with all these wonderful women who you've connected with through Kuel Life, you had a shared passion, you had a shared connection. And so we do want to, we do recognize that not everybody's going to be a fit to be one of your BFFs, right? But so be honest with each other about who you are, where you are in your life, what's exciting to you and what you're interested in, and figure that out if it's a match or not. It's almost like there should be a dating app for friendships for women in midlife. So I want to ask about one more key relationship in life and then get to more. I think we could talk forever, get to more of our kind of top tips for aging joyfully. But I want to talk about our relationship with our kids briefly, at least, because I see a lot of my friends and folks I coach when their kids are adults, some struggles there. And my whole philosophy, which I've learned and developed through learning the hard way and making the wrong choices in many cases, is that once our kids are adults, they get to make their own choices. They get to be who they are. And we get to choose to love them for who they are and the choices they've made. And they don't have to be with us anymore. So if we're going to be with them and criticizing, or why don't you do this? Or why don't you think about that? Or why don't you put on a little lipstick? I mean, I'm joking, but I'm saying these things because these are things I've done. It does not go well.
These are the things that have come out of my mouth.
It does not work. I'm here to tell you, don't do it. Just look at your adult child and be in gratitude for the amazing, unique, independent human being they are, which is likely very, very different from you. I mean, thankfully, my kids and I think you and your son, we share really core values in life and views about things and beliefs about things, but we're super different. And I had to at some point just say, oh, I get to just accept that and be at peace with that. And once I did that, which was several years ago, the doors just opened up and they welcome me, and both of them are happy to have me visit at any time because they know they're not going to have to deal with me criticizing where they live or what they're doing. And I don't know why that's so hard for a lot of folks, and it was for me. But what do you think, Jack?
I I'm new at this. Mine is only 20. He's about to 21 be 21. So I just entered this decade, which I can already see the writing on the wall that this decade is going to be a careening potential train wreck. what I keep telling myself, and I'm not good at this because, like I said, I'm a newbie. I'm a brand new person dealing with this, but detached involvement. Detached involvement. That's what I keep telling myself when he texts me,
Yes.
oh, hey, I slept through blah, 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 but I'll make another appointment. And my response internally is like, I want to go through the phone and go, what is wrong with you? Set an alarm, get your roommate to help you wake up. I want to put on some lipstick. You know what I mean? I want to throw out the things, the quote, to do to prevent this improper behavior. The thing is, he's almost 21. He already knows what to do. He doesn't need me to tell him what to do.
Right.
And so instead, I texted back, okay, if I get an errant bill for you missing this appointment, I will expect that you will reimburse me for the missed appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And
Beautiful.
he wrote, that seems fair. And I said, okay. And then I shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Now to you, I just got done telling all the things that I wanted to tell him.
Yes. Exactly. And that's fair. We're allowed to do that. And that's one of the things we can commiserate with our friends about, right? Who are in the same stage. Of course.
This is why you need women friends in your life.
Yes.
You will implode because
yes.
Adult children are trying to kill you. They really are.
Exactly. And so I love that. So detached involvement. Is that what you said? I love it. Yes. Because what I can say, my kids are 26 and 21. And the more I didn't respond the way you just described and put pressure or tried to guilt, the more they pulled away. And that's heartbreaking. Because if you do, nobody wants to feel that. And you can just ghost your mom like anybody else. It was like, oh no. So the more I went through that process that you just described of all the emotion and working with it, and then thinking about the response that's not going to push them away, the more they came back to me and the closer we became, and we're close now. And now they will actually ask me for advice. Like I help my daughter with her job. My younger daughter's like developing her career. She's in college, but she is doing some freelance work, and we've been helping her with how to set that up and pricing and things like that. My older daughter will send me often, no offense, love you, Jackie, if you're listening, she'll send me like a cover letter for a job she's interviewing late at night. And like, hey, I got to send this in first thing in the morning. And I'm honored because they want me involved, as you said, but they definitely want that detached involvement where you're there, they know you're there and you're supporting them, but you're not pushing your agenda, your way of being. And please remember, people, we were in our 20s once too. And I probably slept through doctor's appointments, and I made some choices in college that, if I could go back. So they need to learn their lessons for their age. Just because we think we have all this wisdom later in life, that doesn't mean that they don't need to learn things their own way, and sometimes the hard way. We have to be able to separate and let that happen naturally.
And that's where the detachment comes in. And then the involvement comes in when your daughter sends you that cover letter.
Right.
You have to be involved.
Right.
But,
exactly.
But your opinion about the time of day she sent you that letter, or whether
I never say
or the fact that she waited to the last flipping minute to get it to you.
I can say that. Yeah. I mean, and it depends on the kid too. There are things I can say to one of my daughters that my other daughter would blow up and really not be happy about. So I think you have to be very mindful, again, especially as they're adults. Everybody's different. So adapting.
Audience. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we could talk forever. I think we've given shared a lot of really important information about some of the challenges of getting older, some of our top tips for how to do it joyfully, gracefully, have healthy relationships, healthy body, healthy mind. I'm sure we could go into a whole other conversation, which clearly I think you're already demonstrating that a lot of joyful aging is your mindset and how you choose to think. You can't change everything on the surface, that all the changes that are happening, but you can certainly choose how you think about it and how you look at it and how you choose to frame it in your own mind. One thing we haven't, okay, we'll go a little bit. Can you go a few more minutes? Because I do want to touch on menopause before I'll just give you the last two things. I want to touch on menopause for men and women, because men, you've got lots of women in your life who are going through menopause. You need to know the reality. And women, this is really important for us to talk about because I didn't know what was coming. I've heard you talk about it. But the last thing I'm just going to ask you after that is, what have we left out? What are your top tips for aging joyfully? So menopause first. I have heard you say on another podcast, well, how I interpreted to be, it hit you like a ton of bricks. You weren't expecting. Same here. I did not. I have always been, people who know me see me as very positive, very driven. I have business. I'm a retired professor. I have lots of 3 podcasts, always doing so much. And I just felt like a different person when menopause hit me. I was tired. I was anxious. I was depressed. I was stressed about things that never had fazed me before. The physical changes really weighed heavily on me, gained weight, had to figure out how to lose the weight in ways that were new. And all the old tricks I used to have to lose weight didn't work anymore. So I actually went to a coach who coaches women who need to lose weight in menopause, because it's a whole different protocol. All the other programs don't work. I'm sure you know. Not that you are in great shape. I don't know what your story is with that. But for me, I had so much work to do. And I'm on the other side of all of it now. Mostly, I figured out how to manage things and I feel great. But boy, I wish somebody had warned me, and I wish I knew more. So what have you found around menopause, and what could be most helpful for women like me, like us, who didn't really know?
So I think I was run over by the exact same train that you were run over with.
Mm-hmm.
I gained 30 pounds. I weighed what I weighed the day I delivered my son.
Mm-hmm.
I was, for the first time in my life, dealing with anxiety. Like, what a weird. Okay, so to anyone out there who lives with anxiety as an ongoing situation, wow, more power to you for handling it, figuring out how to cope, figuring out how to get past it, figuring out how to live with it, whatever it is that you've had to do to keep getting up the next morning and keep getting up the next morning and taking that next step. More power to you, because it was debilitating.
Yes.
Debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
Worst version of Jacqueline Perez you could possibly come up with. I wasn't a good partner. I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't good to myself. For me, though, Bridget, it all boiled down to I couldn't get my hormones right.
Yep.
So no matter, exercise, don't exercise. Run, lift heavy, don't lift heavy. Drink red wine, don't drink red wine. Go to 30, go to bed at 10. It didn't eat intermittent fast, don't intermittent fast. Carbs, eat carbs. It didn't matter. Because my body was out of whack. And so all the things that I was doing to it or putting it in, the circumstances, that wasn't taking care of what was happening internally. So, and I know this is not the answer for everyone, but for me, what the catalyst was for writing the menopausal nightmare that I was run over by, for me, it was getting my hormones. And I do the bioidentical hormone replacement therapy that every 3.5 months I go in and they insert these pellets in my flank, like where the subcutaneous is. And that slowly but surely, it took like 1.5 years, almost 2 years, but the 30 pounds went away. Haven't been dealing with anxiety. My brain cognition is back. And so it now allows me to do all those circumstance things, like the intermittent fasting and the weightlifting and all of that stuff, which is good for you, by the way. But you have to be physically able to absorb all of those amazing activities and situations that you put yourself in. But if your hormones are out of whack, I don't think you can right the train. I just don't think you can. So
I'm with you. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that so honestly and openly. And I know we might be getting into some slightly controversial territory here because there's so many opinions about it, but I do want to say I'm in the same boat with you. I'm on hormones. I've tried all of the natural means, but I also do have friends. I have really good friends who are doing natural methods. There's primrose oil. There are some other types of medications and supplements, natural, holistic, that some people have great luck with. So we encourage you to investigate all of the options.
Yes, and that's where I went first. And I'm glad that you said that,
Yeah.
because I didn't go straight to hormone replacement therapy, my friend.
Yeah, me either.
I tried turmeric. I tried curcumin. I tried you name it, melatonin. You name it. I flippin' tried it.
Same here. Same here. And I'm all into being natural and holistic, and I'm a vegetarian and all of that. So I really, believe me, I did try all of that. And I do, again, want to reiterate that lots of women do have success with those methods. So try whatever you want to try. Seek as much support as you can get from medical professionals, from mental health professionals. It's a great time to be in therapy or coaching and just talking it all through. Get support from your girlfriends, whoever it may be, that will be able to help you. But if you do go the hormone route, as Jack and I have, please don't feel any guilt about it. The updated information is suggesting that if you don't have all the risk factors that could potentially eliminate that as an option, and you're healthy and you meet all the criteria, that the risks are not only low of any kind of negative consequence, but the risks are much higher to not do it because of the health harm, the very real scientifically proven harmful health side effects of that lowered estrogen and progesterone. So look into it. We're not here to, we're not doctors, but look at the research, because doctors who really know their stuff know that now you have to you have to calculate the risks of the options. And for many of us, it's a much better option to go ahead and go on the hormones.
I'll tell you, I don't know what would have to happen for me to give them up. Like,
same here.
Might have to take them from my dying grip. Like, I don't know what.
Same here. Yeah, well, and we are still learning, because for instance, my mom, I'm so blessed to have both my parents still not only alive, but alive and kicking, and we hike together all the time. And from what my mom tells me, she did the hormones, I hope, Mom, you don't mind me sharing, for a number of years, and then went off of them and was fine after that. So apparently your body kind of adjusts.
She's out there listening to you with detached involvement is what she's doing.
Right. She's probably like, I don't care, say whatever you want. So, but she's been off them for like 20 years now, but said it was very helpful for, I don't know, 5 years or whatever it was, and then felt she was okay without them. So that, just do your research, folks, and really advocate for yourself and do what's right for you, after taking into account all of the opinions that you will likely get from medical professionals and family and friends. But here we are, Jack and I, two people who clearly have benefited from hormone replacement therapy, and I feel great. And I wouldn't risk going back to the way I was feeling for anything. So there are options and there is help. And if you are having a really, really hard time with it, you're not crazy, you're not hysterical. This can be an incredibly difficult experience, and is for lots of women, and was for us. And we hear you and we believe you, and we want you to seek the support that you need.
And the men in your life during this time need to forget where that thermostat is in your house. Because there was a period of time where I was like, the only person who's allowed to touch this thermostat until further notice is me.
Yes.
Don't care if you got to go get a parka or some boots or.
Oh my goodness.
I don't care.
Yeah.
We're touching that thermostat.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Hot flashes. I am just the hot flashes alone to have. I should be thanking the Lord with gratitude every day for not having had a hot flash in a year or so since I started hormones.
Good riddance to those, right?
Hot flash, that term does not even begin to describe the trauma of feeling the sweat pouring down you in the middle of a Zoom meeting with a client that's important for you to.
Wanting to take your clothes off and where you are. You're like, I need to
pack ice packs in my shirt and my pants and hope that they couldn't see me over Zoom. So anyway, we've said enough about that, but we hope that feels supportive. So Jack, just tell us, we've touched on so many areas. I think we had a fun conversation, so we kind of went around and did it in a roundabout way, but I think we've really answered the questions of what are some of the biggest challenges of aging and how can we do it joyfully, gracefully, with gratitude, and adapting realistically to the changes we're experiencing. What comes to mind for you that we've left out, or what would you add to those tips?
So I guess, we really did touch upon a lot of things. I think that the only thing that I want to add is that hearkening back to this whole new lifespan that we get, I believe there is such a huge chasm between mini skirts and Depends, adult diapers. And it's that space where we can live the cool life that we want to live, whatever that looks like for you. So for some people, it might be starting a new business, it might be traveling the world. And then for some people, it might just be volunteering or wanting to pick up your grandchild from daycare and be part of your grandchild's life on a more active, ongoing basis. That's pretty cool too, because guess what? Intergenerational relationships are amazingly important, and the benefit that you are going to get from that relationship with your granddaughter and your granddaughter's going to get from you is huge. So my point is that what you do with that space, what you do in between mini skirts and Depends is up to you, but it can be whatever you want it to be. And here's the deal. If you start something and it doesn't work out, who cares? Love it. Go start something else because you still have so much time.
Yeah. Yes. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Create your own adventure. What does that look like for you? And how can you make it happen? And if it's not what you expected it to be, absolutely change course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. And that is what I think I've done. And that's what I coach. I get to coach amazing women who are in all kinds of fields and who are branching out on their own, entrepreneurs, as well as women who are already established in their careers and have that seniority so they can have a little flexibility, or retiring. Retiring is nothing like what we used to think of retiring. I'm working with folks who are just
one who says retiring.
I know.
You know,
I know.
That's such a word our parents used.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting because I embrace it because I retired from 28 years of teaching at a university, but I didn't retire from anything. Like, I took that time, which I loved, and I was able to have lifetime benefits and pension and all these wonderful things that I took with me, and feel like I'm still so young. I'm going to go out and do all kinds of important work in the world, and now do more advocacy and education around the social justice issues that I care deeply about. So it wasn't really retiring, but it was shifting the energy, reinvention, and shifting energy that I had dedicated to this job that was great while I had it for 28 years, and putting it into all kinds of other things that I can now do for decades and decades to come. So yeah, so whatever word you use, I want us all to have that spirit of, if it's third act, whatever, I have so much more to give, to do, to experience, to live, even in my 50s, 60s, 70s, if this is where I'm starting.
Absolutely. And I look forward to watching where you go, because now I know you exist. So I will be keeping an eye on you.
Oh, likewise, I am going to be following you. And on that note, we want everybody to know where to find you, Jack. I'm so honored that you came on the podcast. I really was fangirling this morning and going, I want to talk to her. I'm so excited. I will definitely be continuing to follow Kuel Life. Tell us. So everybody, you got to go right away to kuellife.com, and it's spelled KUELLIFE.com. Is that correct, Jack? Tell us more about where to find you and all the amazing things people can find that you're putting out into the world.
Yeah. So we're on all the socials, you name it: Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of them, TikTok. But more importantly, it's the digital repository. It's the website, kuellife.com. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can do so through the site, through any of the social media outlets. And if you are a woman out there who is an expert, does have deep domain experience in one of the lanes that we're riding around in, and you know what they are, if you're a woman in midlife and beyond and you're helping other women, you know what our opportunities are, you know what our challenges are. You want to get your word out even more, you want another platform by which to reach your audience and to help more women globally, reach out to me. My table is long and there's always space for another chair for another woman. So just let me know and we can figure out a way to collaborate.
That is quite an offer. And I'm sure that you'll be hearing from some folks who would love to be part of what you're doing. It's incredibly exciting. And I don't think there's anything else out there like what you're doing. It's so unique and comprehensive. And I'm so grateful for it.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you for hosting today.
Oh, absolutely. My absolute pleasure. It was a fantastic conversation. I can't wait to listen to it again because you threw out so many great pieces of information and tips and recommendations and shares from your own experience. It's very rich. There's a lot. This is one to listen to a couple times. And of course, as always, we will make sure that all of the information about where to find Kuel Life and Jacqueline Perez will be in our show notes and in our YouTube description. And we encourage you to go and explore that in depth because you'll find so many fantastic resources and women who are doing important work in the world that will be relevant to you in some way. So thanks, Jacqueline. Jack, I love that. I love Jack. I love that, you know, it's just such a cool name for the founder of Kuel Life.
Thank you very much.
And I'm so inspired by everything you shared. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month. Bye.